Hello. Welcome to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all of the places you can find me should be linked in the description box below this video. I'm most active over on Instagram, where you'll find me as both Rainbow Ange and Yarn and Yarns. Rainbow Ange tends to be sort of like my personal account, mostly knitting related, sometimes a bit of reading, sometimes a bit of outdoors. And then Yarn and Yarns is more connected to my business. I currently run a small bricks and mortar yarn shop in South Wales, in the town where I live. If you've been watching the channel recently, you'll know that my business is about to pivot and we're going to try and reinvent ourselves as an online shop because the lease on my current shop has just run out. On that note, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who left such kind words on my video announcing that. I have already said this, I think, in a couple of places and maybe here on the channel before, but I just want to reiterate how heartwarming that was for me, to know that there are so many of you out there sending me good wishes and rooting for me and wanting me to succeed through the change that we'll be going through. So it's definitely a great big splash of brightness in my days at the moment, which as you can imagine, a little bit difficult, a little bit stressful, but yeah, it really does help knowing that there's lots of you out there rooting me on. I also want to mention, while we're talking about social media and stuff like that, I started up a Yarn and Yarns de-stash page. Although I'm hoping to keep my business going, it will be in a much smaller capacity. So I have got a lot of stock in my shop, which I'm sure you can imagine you need quite a good range to stock a yarn shop, but I need to try and move some of that stock if possible. Don't have the same space at home as I do in the shop to store everything. So I've started a de-stash page over on Instagram, which I'll link below, and I'm listing some sale stock over there. So if you are at all interested in enhancing your stash or looking out for something for your next project, then I would really appreciate it if you give us a follow over there, and everything that I'll be listing over there will be at discounted prices, so you should be able to grab yourself a bargain in the process. So welcome to one of my weekly vlogs. I sit and chat about what I've been making. I knit, I spin, I crochet, and I sometimes weave. This last week has been a whirlwind. There's so much for me to do at the moment. I contemplated not recording this video because I've only done a little bit of knitting and a tiny bit of spinning, so I thought, oh, maybe I should just skip it. Is there going to be much to talk about? But then I thought, no, I wanted to say thank you. I do have a few projects to talk about, and I also wanted to have a chat about our sock cowl. I put up a little video about that sock knit along, but I've got some extra information to throw out to you and news of another prize that I'll be able to offer as part of that knit along. So I figured between all that stuff I'd have enough to cobble together an episode, and if it turns out to be a short one, that's okay, because I have also got a couple of other videos that I'm in the process of editing and will be released at some point this week. So hopefully there will be, between this and the other videos, enough to keep you entertained this week if you need it. So I'm going to start with spinning because I literally just have a tiny bit of spinning to share with you this week. I have been doing a little bit of spinning on my spinning wheel downstairs. I am busy working away. Let me go grab one of the skeins that's still lurking here from last week. I'm spinning my way through a lovely Jacob Ryland cross fleece that I washed and started to process earlier on in the summer. So this is one of the skeins that I've showed off here before, and I've filled up a bobbin of singles, and I'm working on the second bobbin of singles, and I'm about 3/4 of the way through. I had really hoped that I would be able to sit at my wheel yesterday and spin through the second bobbin and maybe have a plying session and have a skein to show you, but it just didn't happen. We've got so much to sort out here at home to try and get stuff ready for moving the business over, that I ended up doing lots of that reorganisation stuff, and I just did not find time to sit at my wheel, but that's okay. I need to prioritise my business over my fun making at the moment, so it might be a haphazard few weeks in terms of what I have to show you on my projects. I have, spinning wise, however, been continuing to do my little sort of 10-minute a day practice on my support spindle. I just need to, this has got in a bit of a tangle in the bag, so let's quickly wind that up so we don't mess up any of the precious spinning that I've done. Talk amongst yourselves. So I'm using this beautiful support spindle, which I purchased from Enid Ashcroft Spindles. Enid is a spindle maker here in the UK, and she makes beautiful, beautiful spindles. And this one is made from bur oak, and can't remember what the shaft is made of, but it has a little copper tip on the bottom, and it spins like a dream. So yes, I think last time I showed you this, last week, it was full with the first half of this grey fibre. The fibre is from Smith Studio Designs, and I'm spinning my way through the second half of the grey fibre. I've not actually, is everything, yeah, so everything I've got in my hands is all that I've got left to spin off the second half of that fibre. So it's coming along nicely, and actually with a little bit of effort I'm sure I will finish this in the next day or so, and then that will leave me with the second half of the pastel rainbow accompaniment to the grey. So yeah, slowly working my way through that project. I'm really enjoying the support spindle. I can sit with it on my lap and do a bit of spinning while I'm spending time with James, my partner James, while we're watching the TV, or just having a chat in the evening. Yeah, it's lovely. So that is basically everything for spinning this week. The fibre is a Corriedale, 100% Corriedale fibre from Smith Studio Designs, and I'm keeping that project in this lovely spindle bag that I purchased not too long ago from Clara Rose Crafts on Etsy. That's just really nice to keep everything safe and together. Onto knitting, and I've got 3 works in progress to share with you this week. So the first one is the sweater that I've been knitting for James. I'm knitting the Dude pattern by Andrea Rangel. Last time I showed you this, so this is the project that's probably seen the most amount of work this week. And one of the videos that I've got upcoming for you later on this week, I've recorded a sort of vlog style video where I just talked particularly through my week in knitting. So rather than recording a vlog style where I just take you through everything that I do in the day, which I've done before, I decided to take you through my week in knitting. So you'll see a lot of this project in that vlog if you're interested in watching it. Which it will get published at some point this week. I've just got to edit the last bits together. So yes, that was a bit of a long way round talking about this project, wasn't it? But I have finished the second sleeve, yay, of the Dude sweater. This marker here shows where it was when I picked it up at the beginning of the week. So as you can see, I knit the second sleeve, and that's all completed. And I have also started the first front piece. So what I have left to do, I've already done the back and the other sleeve. So I've got the 2 front pieces, and then the sort of facing for the zip and the collar left to do. So I'm working on the first front piece, and again, I've made pretty good progress. So here we are, cast on at the bottom hem, and I'm in that dreaded middle colourwork pattern. So this is the pattern that I'm chatting about, which in each of the pieces that I've done so far has been a stumbling block because I just don't really enjoy it. Might as well be honest, haven't we? But this version of that pattern is slightly different. The front piece actually kind of splits the pattern in 2 halves. So instead of working sort of like across this middle piece, let me try and hold this up. I don't know if I'm going to do a very good job of explaining, but can you see here I've started putting these kind of dark brown blocks in here, and it's actually going to be sort of a piece like this and a piece like this facing each other, so I won't have to kind of like deal with this middle section. So we'll see if that makes a difference to my enjoyment of knitting that particular colourwork panel. So yeah, I'm hoping to concentrate on that again over the next coming week or two. I hope it won't get too boring for you seeing these same few projects, but I really would like to get this project off the needles. It's been hanging around for ages, and it would be nice to get this done for James. So we shall see if my enthusiasm for that project lasts, but I'm apologising in advance if we see the same few projects over the next few weeks. So yeah, good progress on the dude, which is living in my giant basket that I picked up at Wonderwall a couple of years ago. And then the last two projects that I've worked on this week are both sock projects. So the first one is my Lemmy socks, which is a vanilla sock knit using my usual recipe. I cast on 64 stitches on a 2.25mm needle for me. I tend to knit about a 15 row rib, 50 row leg, and then usually about 70 rows on the foot. And the yarn is called Lemmy, and it's a colourway from Attic Spin Dye. Here it is in the cake. If you have been watching regularly, you'll have seen this colourway several times before, because it is just gorgeous, and I keep working a little bit on these socks and just enjoying spending time with the yarn. And as you can see, I've finished the first sock, so I had not finished the first sock when we last chatted, and yeah, I'm really pleased to have that off the needles. I popped in a afterthought heel so as not to interrupt the sort of lovely sort of spiral striping effect that I had going on that first sock, and I've cast on for the second sock, and I have managed to finish the ribbed cuff, and I've just started on the leg. So I'm in no particular rush to finish these socks. Obviously I would like to finish them during my Summer of Socks cal. But these are kind of like my out and about knitting project, and oftentimes if I get a chance to hop down to my local beach, I'll take this project with me and knit a few rows and just enjoy the sounds of the sea, and I plan on continuing to work on this project in that same manner. That one is living in a lovely project bag that was gifted to me quite recently by the lovely Michelle, and the colours just match that sock yarn so well. They were a match made in heaven. And then my second sock project, I started working on this last night. So yesterday I recorded the little sort of intro video to the Summer of Socks knit along, and took you on a little tour of my sock whips, my works in progress. And the oldest work in progress that I have is living in this beautiful bag from Frog Peak Creations, and it is the Zig Zag sock pattern, and I still forgot to look up who that pattern was by. I'll put it on the screen now. I think I promised to do that yesterday and then completely forgot. Let's see if I remember to do that today. Is it down here? You can let me know. Shout at the screen. And last night I sat and put a few repeats on this. I didn't put a marker in when I started, but I think I was maybe here, somewhere like that, as a guesstimate. So yes, I'm working this in a shade of Wendy Rome for the background, and then a shade of opal sock yarn for the contrast. It's quite a low contrast colourwork sock. I think the further back I hold it, the more apparent the kind of chevron effect becomes, and as we come closer the colours are a little bit less contrasty. I think you lose some of that patterning, but I quite like the effect that is happening with the low contrast combination, so I am happy to continue on with this sock. I think I'm knitting these on 2.5mm needles, and I'm not sure what the stitch count is, but it's a bigger size to account for the fact that a colourwork sock is going to be less stretchy than a sort of plain sock, because you've got the stranding happening inside, which sort of reduces the stretch factor. So yeah, I think I am going to go for 10 repeats of the sort of chevron pattern. I think I worked out I was at 6 or 7 last night. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I've just finished the 7th repeat. So I'm going to go for 10, and then I'm going to pop in the heel, which will make the legs slightly shorter than I usually make for a sock. But again, I don't want to make it too long, because I know that these the colourwork sock's going to have a little bit less stretch. It's really fun to be working back on these again, and we'll see how far I get. Estimation of sock whips versus time left in the cowl. I kind of need to have these finished by next week to have any hopes of finishing all of my sock whips before the middle of September. But it's kind of a stretch goal for me. I know all these socks will not get finished because I'm not going to spend the next 7 weeks just knitting on socks. But the idea of hosting this cowl is to try and keep me focused and give me a little bit of incentive to pick up and work on them at all. So given this project, I think was cast on well over a year ago and has not really seen much of the light of day, the fact that I sat down and knit several repeats yesterday is brilliant in itself, and the cowl is already helping me head in the right direction with these projects. So yes, that's it in terms of making. I feel like there is very little to show you this week. I was hoping to have some crochet, and I was hoping to have re-warped up my loom as well, but none of that has happened. But it's a-okay. There's a lot going on at the moment, so I'm trying to find as much time as I can for my making, because that helps to keep me calm and definitely helps with improving my mental health, having some creative time, but I can't prioritise it at the moment, so I'm just squeezing it in as and when I can. Before we wrap up, while we're kind of chatting about the sock cowl, in case you didn't watch that video because you're not a sock knitter and you're thinking, oh, I'm not going to join in that knit along, I just want to pop it up here that the lovely Zoe, who is Pins and Needles here on YouTube and over the internet, offered up 2 copies of her as requested sock pattern to send to anyone who is a new knitter that wants to take their first steps into sock knitting. I have found a recipient for one copy of that pattern. I think I might have found a recipient for the second copy of that pattern, but I had a message from the lovely Jeanette, who helps me to moderate the Yarn and Yarns forums over on Ravelry. So if you're participating in the group forum over there, you might already have had interactions with our lovely Jeanette, but she has said that she would be happy to donate a further 2 copies if there are more new sock knitters out there. She will gift copies of Zoe's as requested pattern to 2 more new sock knitters. So if there's anyone out there who wants to jump in and have a go at sock knitting, then please leave a comment below, as well as the patterns that are available up front to new sock knitters. I have a wonderful prize donated by Caroline. Caroline has donated sock set number 1 as a prize for the cowl. So you get a 50-gram hank of the main colour and then a 20-gram contrast mini for heels, toes and cuffs. Caroline's kindly donated 2 of these, but I might reserve one for a later knit along, especially as the lovely Jeanette has, as well as donating 2 copies of Zoe's pattern, if we can find some new knitters to donate those to, said that she will offer up the prize of a skein of yarn of the winner's choice from Owl About Yarn's website, so owlaboutyarn.com I think it is, which is just amazing. Thank you so much to Zoe, to Caroline and to Jeanette for sponsoring such wonderful patterns and yarn prizes for this knit along. So yeah, if that doesn't wet your whistle for a bit of sock knitting, I don't know what will. So yes, that's everything for the make along news. So before I sign off, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who is here supporting the channel, watching the videos. If you've subscribed, if you've liked any of the videos, if you've left comments below the videos, I really do appreciate you spending time with me and the interactions that we have here. I was also very, very lucky to receive several coffee donations in the last week since we chatted. So thank you to anyone who has been able to support the channel in that way. I mentioned on my Future of Yarn and Yarns videos that I'll be looking into setting up a Patreon page, so that is also in the works. I'm still working on what that might look like at the moment, but I'm hoping maybe by the time I record my vlog next week I'll have some more news on that. Life generally has just been really busy this week, trying to make plans for what the future's going to look like for Yarn and Yarns. We have stuff going on at home that we're rearranging and sorting out, ready to bring some stock home, and I have started a little video series on that process, so hopefully the first part of that will be popping up here on the channel at some point this week. I don't think there's been much going on apart from that. No, it's all no, I sounded very definite then, didn't it? Work and pivoting Yarn and Yarns is very much all consuming at the moment, so there's not too much time for anything else aside from that. I hope you have been able to have a wonderful week since we last spoke. Let me know what you're up to, what projects you're working on, how you're doing. Are you still in lockdown? Are you still shielding? Have you started to be able to get out and about a little bit more? I always get to share with you what's going on in my corner of the world, so please feel free to share with me below what's happening in yours. Until we get to spend time together again, I hope you get to do some of the things that you enjoy. Great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now.